Hey, it's Cassie from Curry Honda in Chicopee. You're listening to the Bax and Nagle podcast on Rock 102. Come see us at Curry Honda for the best selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. Experience the best at Curry Honda. Thanks for listening.
Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:35 and the Jay Giles Band with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102. It's going to be mostly cloudy today. Thunderstorms are possible this morning and again later this afternoon with a high of 89. Tonight, those showers could continue, followed by variable clouds, maybe some more rain later on, and a low of 70 tomorrow, cloudy in the morning and partly cloudy by the afternoon with a high of 88. 73 degrees already in downtown Springfield. It's Tuesday, which means another round of Am I the A-Hole is very likely to emerge at some point this morning. Make sure you're listening for that and some other stuff, too. And if you're listening to the podcast later today, it's brought to you by Curry Honda at Chicopee. Experience the best. Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:51 and Whitesnake with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be today cloudy, and then there is a chance of some severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon into this evening, so just be on the lookout for that. High of 86 tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 83. It's 74 right now in downtown Springfield.
Hollywood Trash is brought to you by Western Mass Masons. Call them for all your foundation and chimney needs.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
Since the 4th of July is Friday, excuse me, I gotta get that,
Get that stuff out of your throat.
get that dude, whatever his name was. I guess since Friday is the 4th of July, the PioneerWoman.com, that you've never heard of before,
Right.
put together a list of 50 movies that are perfect to add to your watch list. Here are...
Number 50.
No, we're going to do 15. How about
Okay,
that?
yes.
Jaws,
Right.
Top Gun,
Mm-hmm.
The American President, Rocky, The Sandlot, An American Tale, Live Free or Die Hard, National Treasure, Captain America, Apollo 13, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Air Force One, Forrest Gump, Hamilton, and 1776. I actually like 1776.
The musical.
Yes.
You like that. You like a musical.
I like that old version of it. You know,
Yes.
I haven't seen it in a long, long time, but it was pretty good. It was about these guys who wanted to like get away from the king.
Yeah.
So they like all banded together like a big gang, and
Right.
then they signed this piece of paper.
Whoa.
What?
Don't ruin it for me.
It's a little dirty too. This one guy,
Yeah.
he's like, my name's Fred Stevens, but I'm gonna sign it John Hancock just to be a jerk.
Man, that sounds filthy.
He was like the original Barry McOckener.
Yeah, I bet.
That could have been one of the signatures on the Constitution, Barry McOckener. That would have been something to kind of give a big middle finger to England, wouldn't it?
That was probably the guy who abstained. Courteously.
Yeah. Hey, who's Oliver Closeoff? A list of patriotic songs for your 4th of July. You ready for this?
Number 50.
Yeah, this is, this is only 15 again. The Star-Spangled Banner by Whitney Houston.
Uh-huh. Tell me Lee Greenwood's coming up.
Yeah, that is much better listened to in a bathtub.
Yeah, after like a long night of being out on the
A
town.
long night of being out on the town. My Shot from the cast of Hamilton.
All right.
I still haven't seen that.
I still don't want to.
Firework by Katy Perry.
Mm-hmm.
Living in America by James Brown.
No, that's a tap.
ROCK in the USA. Listen, you just listen to the Rock 102. You'll hear that within 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel. How is that a 4th of July song?
Because it talks about nothing but American stuff.
I watched somebody on Reddit yesterday complain about that, about the We Didn't Start the Fire, where he gets to the point where he says, JFK blown away, what else do I have to say? And he's like, you have plenty to say. There's a whole nother verse and a half that you got going on here.
It's a 4.5-minute song. You haven't stopped talking yet.
And I was like, well, Billy Joel's a self-admitted alcoholic. He probably got to writing it going, all right, JFK blown away. What else do I have to say? That'll be it. And then he's like, oh, yeah, birth control and Ho Chi Minh.
Yeah, you know, I gotta be honest, there's nothing I hate more than songs that just list stuff like that and It's the End of the World as We Know It. That was like the end of REM as we knew it.
What do they call that type of song?
A song with a bunch of list stuff.
Piece of crap.
Oh, yeah, they call it a piece of crap.
What did you call it?
I called it a piece of crap.
Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. America the Beautiful by Ray Charles. America from Simon and Garfunkel. American Pie from Don McLean.
Right.
American Girl from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Texas Hold'em from Beyonce. That's a good 4th of July song.
Yeah, okay.
Kids in America from King Wild. And Surfin' USA is at the end of the list. Surfin' USA should be like number 1.
But not one mention of Lee Greenwood.
Thank God for
you.
that. Listen, I don't care where you fall on the patriotic spectrum, but Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA, is one of the biggest pieces of crap I've ever heard in my life.
What did you call it?
I called it a piece of crap.
That is so un-American for both of us to say.
He's like the patriotic version of Benny Mardones. You know Benny Mardones?
Actually, if you set them side by side,
Yeah.
they kind of look alike.
Well, not even the looks alike, but I'm talking about the music. You know.
Yeah.
They have that one song.
And they hammer it for the rest of their lives.
Well, Benny Mardones can no longer do that. But I remember, always when I was in Syracuse, because Benny Mardones is from Syracuse.
Okay.
And Benny Mardones would, do pop-up appearances, and the only song that he would sing was Into the Night. I was like...
Because it's the only one he had.
Yeah. I'm like, that chick is 46 now. She's
Yeah.
not 16 anymore.
It's like if you had an Aldo Nova cover band. It's like, after that one song,
Yeah.
then what do you do?
Yeah, and here's Lee Greenwood going every state and county fair in the nation, singing that stupid song.
Good Lord.
Let's see. Rosie O'Donnell did not enjoy watching the Jeff Bezos-Lauren Sanchez wedding. Maybe that's because she wasn't invited and had to settle for news reports like the rest of us. Then why did you watch it? Why would you watch something you didn't...
Why would you even televise it?
Well, I mean, there's always somebody out there that wants to see that.
I don't want to see that.
But in a poem on Substack, she wrote that it, quote, turned my stomach seeing all these billionaires gathering in the gross excess of it all, the show of it. Listen, there are plenty of things that offend me. I just don't watch them. So if you can't get offended by somebody if you just don't let it bother you.
She makes it sound like she had no other choice, like it was some sort of requirement to get back into the country.
Then she took aim at Oprah, saying, quote, is Oprah friends with Jeff Bezos? Really? How is that possible? He treats his employees with disdain. By any metric, he is not a nice man. And then she referred to Sanchez as Jeff's, quote, fake fembot wife. Now, no word on how Oprah or Jeff and Lauren feel about this, mostly because they probably don't care and they can't hear her over the cash register sounds of them spending millions and millions of dollars on a stupid wedding in Venice.
Honestly, I still don't know where they're registered. I have a year to buy a gift, right?
Target.
All
I think
right,
it's
good.
Target, right?
Good.
Kim Kardashian left little to the imagination at a yacht party where she wore a sheer bodysuit that had photographers zooming in harder.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, she must have had something to say.
Oh my God, the last time I was this exposed in the sun, Ray J had me spread like beach towels at a spring break orgy while he slow poured his seagull chowder all over my Pepperidge flaps in that sex tape you can purchase on YouPorn for $39.95.
Mine? Mine?
Mine?
Caitlin?
Well, I never got that down and dirty with your mother, Chris Kim, but she once interned for another law firm, Johnson, Johnson, and Back Dorson. Strictly oral and under the desk positions. She regularly worked the graveyard shift, fluffing my cinnamon bisquick with her downtown ham snorkel.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is she has a jaw like a power tool and the stamina of a caffeine-fueled sea otter. She could reverse throttle a man's meat hammock during a sandstorm and still ask if you want a dessert. Though to be fair, she once did chip a molar on a dehydrated sack wrinkle. Dentist said it looked like she bit into a salted walnut wearing a toupee.
I don't even know if that makes any sense, but it's perfectly beautiful.
What are you talking about? You never see a salted walnut wearing a toupee?
No,
Yeah.
I have not.
Yeah,
No, I
like
have
a
not.
dehydrated sack wrinkle? You know what that looks like. At your age?
It's plenty moisturized.
Let's dissect the whole thing. Like a power tool and the stamina of a caffeine-fueled sea otter. She could reverse throttle a man's meat hammock during a sandstorm and still ask if you wanted dessert.
I need a tissue.
And then the cinnamon bisquick with her downtown ham snorkel. How do you not know what this all is about?
It's as plain as the nose on your face.
No, the ham snorkel on your face. And that's your Hollywood trash on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, your grilling destination. Weber, Big Green Egg, Uni Pizza Ovens, and Traeger wood-fired grills.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, I know we've occasionally had our share of discussions about the Red Sox being a tepid cesspool of incessantly mediocre baseball, and there have been several good reasons for that. Nevertheless, there are times when they are not that tepid cesspool of incessant mediocrity. In fact, there are occasional moments when fans are treated to a thrilling cacophony of relentless excitement. And while I'm sure you wouldn't want to see that sort of thing happen every day, it is encouraging to know the Red Sox are still capable of that sort of thing from time to time. Last night happens to be one of those times. Last night at Fenway Park, the Red Sox kicked off a 3-game series with the Cincinnati Reds. And while it is true that the Cincinnati Reds are every bit as uneven and mediocre as we are, it was the Red Sox who dished out the big fat stack of brutal punishment against the Reds, beating the Limp Red Machine by a final score of 13-6. How did something like this happen? Well, one would not have to look any further than directly into the glowing halo that surrounds Red Sox right fielder Wilyer Abreu, a one-man wrecking crew last night. He was a dream-crushing behemoth. At the plate, not only with a grand slam in the 8th inning, let's also talk about that inside-the-park home run he had in the 5th inning. This is not only the first inside-the-park home run at Fenway by a Boston player since Jacoby Ellsbury 14 years ago. Abreu became the first player since Roger Maris in 1958 to follow one up with a grand slam in the same game. Abreu, who now leads the Red Sox with 16 home runs of the season, has got so much juice that you have to wonder what this kid has in store for the future. And as such, one must also wonder how soon it'll take the Red Sox to let this kid slip through their fingers too. Because we all know how much they like holding on to those promising power hitters. Nevertheless, last night a wildly satisfying little blip in an otherwise disappointing season. But I'm not ready to give up on them quite yet. I just wish we could play Cincinnati every single day, because that was fantastic. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You're cooking outdoors? Rocky's is your store. Gas grill, pellet grill, pizza oven, smoker, flat top griddle, Komodo grill, charcoal grill, all the grills, all the grilling gear. What's your outdoor kitchen missing? It's missing a new grill that you'll get at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch. Rocky. Do Springfield's Classic Rock at 6:12, and Brian Adams with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be rainy today. Chances of some severe thunderstorms. Liam Neeson will have all the details for you coming up in just a little bit, but it could get pretty nasty out there with the thunderstorms. So just be on the lookout for that. High of 86 tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 83 at 74. In downtown Springfield.
I think there's a pretty good chance that you will see a round of Am I the A-Hole this morning. It is a Tuesday. We got nothing else planned. So that's that you can almost bank on that.
Yeah, you can bank on that. As I told you yesterday, I finally finished cleaning out my stuff. I got the dumpster.
Yeah.
And
that feels good, doesn't it?
I filled the whole thing.
Wow, in a day?
I had a lot of stuff that I had demolished over the last 5 years too. I had a vinyl fence that was falling apart that I had completely destroyed, but then put it in a pile as if I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
40 years later, and then here it is still sitting in there with weeds growing on it and stuff. I had to pick it all out. And
yeah, I guess stacks and stacks of cardboard.
Yeah.
In my basement and garage that really needs to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I get home in the day and I'm like, I don't want to do any of that stuff. And yesterday was a hot day, so to have done all of that, to fill it up in a day, I commend you, because that's a hell of a lot of work.
Well, it was over the course of 4 days that I filled it up. I got it Friday afternoon, and then I finally finished filling it yesterday afternoon. So I spent a good portion of the weekend doing that.
It does feel good, though, doesn't it?
You know, and once you start going, you're like, I don't want to stop. I just want to keep getting rid of this stuff. And, I had said yesterday, and I said it in a video that I made last night, you can actually park a car in my garage. Not just one, but two.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
I don't know. And I don't think I told you about this. I talked to you off the air about this. There was a mouse in a bin. There was a bin in the garage. The garage is separated from the house. It's probably, I don't know.
Unattached.
Unattached.
Gotcha.
Probably like 75 feet from the house, right? And in this bin was a mouse that freaked my kid out.
A living mouse?
A living one. It was
Okay.
very, very much alive. And it had a little you could see it had a little nest and there was some children's books in the bin.
Okay.
He was nesting on a book called Mouse's Day Out.
What are the odds of that?
I don't know. He was treating us like a Marriott, and he was a Bonvoy member. He's taking up space.
Calling like room service and stuff.
Yeah. So I had to evict him.
You evicted him from, so this was really the mouse's day out.
It was the Mouse's Day Out, but it was just ironic that was the book that he chose. Do you think that little small animals like that, it's like us seeing graffiti on the side of a highway?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Oh, wow, I recognize that anywhere.
That would be like us if we were homeless and we slept on a park bench but wrapped ourselves up in WMAS blankets and T-shirts.
I've done that before.
Because you worked there.
Yeah, I did. I was homeless working there. It's very much like that, and so I had to put I had both kids helping me, and then when one kid saw the mouse,
they were done.
She threw in the towel.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing that. And then my other daughter was laughing hysterically at the fact that my other daughter was scared by the mouse, and it is they are creepy. They are. But it was one mouse. It wasn't like, there was like...
I can shoo away a living mouse.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that. Removing a dead mouse. I don't like dead stuff.
Yeah. So I put a lid over the top of this thing, and then I took it outside, and I dumped it.
Oh, yeah.
I dumped it in the driveway, and then the mouse ran into... It's going to come back, I'm sure, but it's going to come back to no home.
And
it's going to have to make a new home.
And on a different book.
Yeah. There's no more book to be sitting on anymore. I cleaned off all those books and salvaged the ones that were good, and I donated.
Now, wouldn't it be crazy?
Yeah.
If they went back into the house and made a nest on top of a copy of Mice and Men.
Oh my God! Yeah, I think you're onto something. A little Stuart Little.
Yeah, maybe something a little bit more heavy reading than the Mice's
The
Day
Richard Gere story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a gerbil, but nevertheless.
I know, but isn't that kind of like the lobster tube for the mouse?
Yeah.
Like watching a Richard Gere film.
When an Academy Award nominee becomes a human habit trail, all of a sudden that's on everybody's lips.
My distant cousin was in that movie, and in him too. How did we get talking about mice and gerbil porn?
I don't even. I have no idea.
6:17 in the morning.
Maybe you kids can look that up on the internet.
I usually save my mouse and gerbil porn for after 9 o'clock. But here we are.
Here we are
talking about.
Here we talking about it.
But I got to tell you, I'm excited about it because I've gotten rid of all this stuff. And it's just accumulating things.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Have these words come out of your mouth to your kids? Let's not let this happen again.
Oh, yeah.
Let's keep throwing stuff out when we get it right away.
But honestly,
because that's a fool's promise. You realize that, right?
I know it's a fool's promise, but I'm going to try to be more aware of it. Like if somebody asked me to take something.
Yeah.
And I said this in the video, and a lot of this was... I suffered from depression. I suffered from quite a bit of depression. And when you're depressed and somebody gives you something, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to use that someday. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You're not going to use it. You're not going to do anything with it. You're not going to – it's just going to sit there and collect dust and collect, if it gets damp in the garage. I mean, how good is something once it gets mold damage to it or
it's not usable.
It's not. You can't use it. So just get rid of it. Don't even accept it. And a lot of the stuff came from other estates of people that I knew that died, whether it be a family member or a friend, that, people want you to take stuff and say, hey, they'd want you to have this. No, they just want to get it out of their house.
This is how insane my life has become, because this isn't the first time this has happened. I've had garages in my last several homes, okay, with the exception of one or two. But nevertheless, I have had people say, hey, would you mind if I kept a few things in that big giant garage of yours, just temporarily?
Yeah.
I'll have it out of there in a couple of weeks, but I'm between places. Would you mind? And I say yes, like an idiot, because what happens is once it's in my garage, it never, ever leaves my garage.
Yeah, right.
So that's happened when I lived in Springfield. It happened when I lived in East Longmeadow. It's happened again in Hamden, where people, would you mind just for a few months holding on to my stuff? Oh, yeah, sure. The problem is their stuff is part of the accumulation of my stuff.
Right.
So now I have no room for additional stuff. And now we're at the point where you are, where you would say the only solution to this is a dumpster.
Yeah. And
I get that all the time.
And you know what?
And I fall for it all the time.
There's ways, I guess there's, the stuff that I threw away was unusable. Like,
right.
There was no way that somebody could, I guess there are some things that people could refurbish or whatever, but, like I had a tent, like a pop-up, like a
pop tent?
A camping tent.
Sure.
Like an instant camping tent.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing, I hadn't used it. It was my late wife's. I had dragged it from the other house, and then the thing has mold all over it because it's been sitting in a barn for the last 5 years, and prior to that, it was sitting in a garage. Get rid of it. Just unload it. You don't need it. If you're not going to use it, then get rid of it.
I have things in my house. I have parts of things that I no longer own.
Right.
But I still have the parts.
Why?
I have screws that I don't know where these things go to or what they came from.
Well, and don't get me wrong. Sometimes those things can come in handy. If you're like putting something out, let's say you're putting a curtain rod up.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I need these two little screws. I know exactly where they are. They're in that bin.
But you know what is also handy?
Yeah.
Driving to Rocky's Ace Hardware. Good people, rock solid service at every Rocky's Ace Hardware location. And if I needed a new screw,
you could go get one.
I could probably go get one. And you know what? They're not that expensive.
Right, but see, this is the problem. You go out and you buy a new pack of screws. You only need 2, but you bought a pack of 50 of them.
Yeah.
Then what? Then that box then just sits there and collects dust for the next time, and then you wind up throwing it out.
Or I'll lose that box.
Right.
I say, man, I need to get myself a box of screws.
Right. Yeah. So just get rid of this stuff.
It's 6:22 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
What's a credit union?
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock at 6:27, and Green Day with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Liam has the full forecast for you, and he will tell you.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, this Friday, Steve and the Road Crew are going to be at Free Music Friday then at the MGM Plaza from 5:30 to 7:30. The show with Trailer Trash kicks off at 6 o'clock to accommodate all the things that are happening at the riverfront with the 4th of July fireworks. So if you've never seen Trailer Trash before or have never heard them, it is a very rare appearance, and it starts a little bit earlier than normal. So wear your red, white, and blue. Have yourself a damn fine time. It's Free Music Friday this Friday at MGM with Steve and the Road Crew from Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
All right, you ready to laugh?
Yes.
All right, let's laugh.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep. Okay.
It's Bax and Nagle's Joke of the Day
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
on Rock 102,
I make you laugh.
Springfield's classic rock.
So a duck walks into a pub.
A duck in a pub.
He hops on the bar stool and he says to the bartender, "Pint, please, mate." He must be Australian.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, the barman looks at him in utter shock. "But you're a duck. how are you talking? And the duck just cuts him right off, right? He goes, yeah, I get that all the time, mate. I'm a bricklayer, and there's a new housing estate being built not too far away from here, and to be honest, I've had a hard day, and I'd just like a couple of pints and peace, please. This is the duck talking.
It's a reasonable request.
So the barman's like, all right, and he pours him the pint, and he doesn't ask anything more. Now, the duck comes in every single night after work for the 2 pints, and then he goes home. On Saturday, a ringmaster comes in to the pub and asks the barman if he can hang his posters in his window to advertise his show. And the barman sees an opportunity and explains to the ringmaster, he's got the perfect act for him, a talking duck. Right?
Yes.
And the ringmaster, he's like, I can't pass this opportunity up. He's going to make thousands of dollars off this thing. So the barman asks to share the money he would make for getting the ringmaster his star attraction. And the ringmaster agrees, and then they shake hands on it, right? The following Monday, the duck comes back in after his shift at work. I got a job for you, he says. Oh, yeah? What's that, then? This is the duck talking, right?
Right.
A circus. This says the barman. Oh, wait a minute. No, he had a different accent, didn't he?
It's okay, Steve.
No, I'm just trying to get through this and get the characters.
I think we're all trying to get through this.
Anyway, the duck looks at the barman in confusion and says, a circus? A circus with clowns? Yeah. With a big tent? Yeah. You mean move from town to town with performing animals? Yeah, exactly, says the bartender. And the duck looks up at him and says, what the hell do they want a bricklayer for? So he's a talking duck. He just thinks he's normal. He's just trying to fit in.
Oh, yeah.
Bax and Nagle in the morning on Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Here's your Western Mass News.
6:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. A 16-year-old has been arrested and charged with murder in connection with a homicide that took place in Springfield back in January. The Hamden DA's office stated in a news release that on January 12th of 2025, officers were called to the 100 block of Oakland Street for a ShotSpotter activation at approximately 11:30 p.m. Officers arriving in the area found a man with gunshot wounds who was then brought to Bay State Medical Center to be treated. The man died from his injuries at the hospital. He has since been identified as 19-year-old Samaj Brewster of Springfield. The Springfield Police Homicide Unit began to investigate the shooting and identified a suspect in connection with the incident. They were granted an arrest warrant for the suspect. Last Thursday, Springfield homicide detectives and members of the Chicopee Police Department went to Dulong Circle in Chicopee. At approximately 12:30 p.m., law enforcement located the suspect, a 16-year-old juvenile, and arrested him. The suspect was arraigned in Springfield District Court on one count of murder and is being held without his right to bail. The identity of the suspect cannot be released due to his age. The Hamden DA's office and the Springfield Police Detective Bureau are continuing to investigate the incident, and 22 News supposedly will provide you with updates, but I'm not holding my breath.
Now, the shooting happened when? This January or last January?
What did I say? What did I say?
Because it was 2024 this happened?
Hang on a second.
So, I mean, my point is, was he 16 at the time of the shooting, or was he 15?
No, it happened this year.
This year?
Yeah, in 2025.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. He might have turned 16 by the time they caught him. It's been 7 months.
You know, I've seen all these videos of juveniles that don't realize that just because they committed a crime that they couldn't be charged as an adult and assume, well, I'm going to go, what's the worst that can happen to me? I go into juvenile detention. Crime like this, got to tell you, you could very easily be charged as an adult based on the seriousness of the crime. And I don't know if some of these kids realize that.
I understand what you're saying, but what good would it do anyway? Because they just let these guys back out on the street a week later if you're an adult.
Not if you're talking about a crime that involves murder. That's a little bit different.
I don't know. I think I've seen some of these, you know, when another guy gets picked. Oh, this guy was picked up for murder a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I know.
He was back out on the street.
Terrible story.
Let's see. How about the hotel? As of Monday, hotel shelters across the state are no longer housing those in need, including the former Clarion Hotel in West Springfield. Thank God, now we can go and enjoy the water park that doesn't really even exist inside anymore. It's dry.
They drained it?
It's inoperable. There's been no pool there. The pool, everything is set up inside, but there's no water running.
So does this mean they will open it?
I don't know. The Healy administration announced just last month there's a decline in need for this program. The hotel shelter has been vacant for about a month. The families that were living there have since been provided permanent or semi-permanent housing by the state. This isn't a solution that works, mainly for families that I understand they came here. They need housing, said West Springfield Mayor Will Reichelt. But this isn't a solution for families with kids to live in a hotel. Roads leading up to the former Clarion Hotel are closed off, with signs also seen on the hotel entrance doors letting the community know that this hotel shelter is out of service. No dogs allowed. Formerly known as the Clarion Hotel, the space is being replaced with a new and improved hotel and retail shops.
Will they keep the water park?
I don't know.
I can understand. Listen, I get it. Let's say you have a bunch of families living there. They don't. Maybe the hotel doesn't want to use their water park for everybody. It's for just paying customers only. I don't know. Boy, West Springfield sure could use one more water park opportunity.
But it used to be a shelter, and then there was a horrible incident that happened there, which I don't have to repeat what it was, but there was a horrible incident, a death that happened in that shelter.
Right.
They closed the shelter. Then somebody bought the hotel, revamped the whole thing, put a water park in, and they got mad at us because we, at the time, were insinuating that, this homeless shelter, like there was some guy with a "We'll work for food" sign, getting on a water slide and holding his nose while he went down down the slide. And the owner of that hotel called and was very upset that we were even insinuating that. And what did it eventually become again but another homeless shelter?
Now, interestingly enough, I don't remember us getting called on the carpet for talking that way. I do remember the conversation, and I do remember the incident. But I don't know that I don't remember that the owner called us looking for some sort of an apology or whatever, or retraction.
It wasn't anything we got in trouble for. It was just one of these complaints that he called the main office and talked to the boss at the time, who his people would sweep things under the rug.
Well, listen, homeless people or not, a water park, a hotel water park, has a tendency to be gross.
What are you talking about? A hotel water park has a tendency to be gross. What do you mean by that?
A highly over-chlorinated toilet is basically what that becomes.
Oh, but you know what? I'm going to...
And you know how I know this?
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been one I've been in where I didn't take a pee.
All right. I'm going to... yeah, I know. You're the one dirtying it up.
That's right.
Contributing to it. Well, now that you admitted that you did that, I was going to use the same psychology you used on me yesterday about going on a cruise. Oh, but how often do you get sick from a hotel water park?
Well, I mean, I have a great faith in my immune system.
Oh, do you?
Well, I mean, enough.
Yeah, but think about that. Even on the cruise part, somebody's peeing in that pool.
Of course.
That was another thing that bothered me about the cruise thing. Like, even on the happy times when there was no emergency going on, there's hundreds of people at this pool on the deck of the ship. And I'm like, there ain't no way in hell that thing is not being cleaned every day.
Oh yeah, you have to
clean that every day.
By the way, let me just clarify my statement about peeing in a pool. I don't mind if you're peeing in a pool while you're in the pool. I got a real problem if you're peeing in the pool outside of the pool. That's different. That's
why
a totally
is that
different thing.
Oh, because you're exposing yourself at that point.
Yes. I mean, there is that, and there's a blatant disregard for everybody else in the pool.
You said this last week about the ocean, too.
Yeah. Well, think about
You're
it.
not dropping trow, and you're just going pee in your suit.
Yes.
As if
But I'm allowing...
the water is a natural washing machine.
Well, it is in
No,
a lot
it's
of ways.
not.
Well, I mean, if you dip... Again, it's 59, 60-degree water.
Yeah.
There were no choices to be made. This is the only thing I can do. And going in over my waist was about as much as I could handle.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I still haven't descended since.
You got to at least, flip it out like a little rudder.
I don't. Why? What's the point of that?
Because you're staining, you're getting
The moment I
urine
step,
enzymes on your shorts.
Steve, the moment you step into
Yeah.
ocean water, doesn't matter where, doesn't matter which ocean, it's irrelevant. There are tens of millions of aquatic life in that ocean that are doing the same, if not worse, than me.
Yeah,
it is nature's toilet.
But there's plankton, and that's like nature's filtration. Like the plankton are eating the little germs.
All
off
right,
the
Jacques
urine
Cousteau, you got this whole thing you got this whole thing figured out, huh?
I'm Jacques Strap Cousteau. It
Yes.
is a little stinky on the grundle of the ocean. I've got a bad case of the crabs. From sticking my snorkel into a clamshell.
That's right.
Yeah. How do we get on these
I
conversations
don't even
again?
know. I have no idea. One minute we're talking about a pool or a water park. The next thing we're talking about Jacques Cousteau peeing in the ocean.
Half an hour ago, we were talking about mouse porn. A mouse wants to watch a Richard Gere movie knowing that his cousin had been in one of those films.
It's the stupidest damn show ever.
The city of Holyoke has issued a stop work order for the remodeling of a popular restaurant and seafood market. The co-owner of Schremmerhorns was ordered to bring all operations to a halt, and he now says the city is working against him. We're taking an eyesore, something that was not up to code in town, a very famous restaurant, and we're trying to make it better, said Frank DeMarinis, co-owner of Schremmerhorns and the owner of Sage Engineering and Contracting. And we are getting nothing but heartache from the city. DeMarinis claims his company has followed state laws but received pushback from the city. Over the last 25 years, his company has permitted and built 350 commercial buildings across western Massachusetts. However, Holyoke Mayor Josh Garcia says he's looking forward to the remodel, but there's been some complications along the way.
Like what?
The city council approved the project back in February. However, the city's building department has issued several stop work orders, most recently in May. We chose to bring it up to code in that process that the building permit that we had was revoked, and we got a stop work order, DeMarini said. We accommodated the needs of the city. We had a list of items that we wanted. We gave it to them, and now they're asking for more in the next 24 hours. Mayor Garcia says he's been briefed on the situation and is looking forward to making a comeback in the city. He released a statement on the situation, which reads in part, "The city's legal department is working together with the owner and are on a path forward. I want to express how grateful I am for Frank in investing in the area." Yada, yada, yada. "Unfortunately, we can't support skipping and overlooking laws. I also want to thank the members of our city." But they don't say what.
Yeah, what's the violation?
See, this is again with the no details of a story. They're just taking the statement from the mayor because the mayor emailed it to the 22 newsroom, and not one person from 22 News goes, "Hey, I wonder what the big deal is."
I mean, yeah, that would make
Why
that would give us a better view of which side to fall on this.
You had this guy Frank DeMarinis, the co-owner.
Yeah.
Why didn't you ask him when you had him on the horn?
I don't know.
I am. If anybody knows why, reach out on the Route 10 Tire listener line. Text us what the reasoning is of why the work stoppages happened, not just because they were violating law. What law? What happened? What did you do? Detail.
We would all like to know that. If you're working if it is in fact true that you are working for me, I would like to know what exactly is going on in the world.
I would like to know that too.
Right.
43-year-old Michael O'Neill showed up at a hospital in St. Petersburg, Florida, with a stab wound last month and needed emergency surgery. Cops haven't released a ton of details. We don't know who stabbed him or why, but they think drugs may have been involved, and the next part makes us think they're probably right. While he was in surgery, a nurse found his stash hiding in his rectum.
I'm sorry?
A nurse found his stash hiding in his rectum.
Damn near killed him.
Yeah. The nurse found a ball of tinfoil with white rock. Ooh, tinfoil up there? Ooh, that's got to chafe.
That's not good.
Along with white rocks hiding in it, and along with a crack pipe and a lighter. What you gonna do with all that junk?
All that junk up in that
trunk? They took Michael to jail once he recovered. He's facing charges for drug possession and possession of drug paraphernalia. And this ain't his first rodeo. He's got a long rap sheet full of other drug charges, including an arrest last year where cops also found drugs in his rear end. So it's kind of his go-to move.
Did you ever watch Shameless?
Yes.
Do you remember the scene where Frank is muling?
Yes.
And somehow he was able to get 19 bags within him, and what it took, what kind of training it took at the hands of Joan Cusack to get that done.
Well, you got to think about this. That area probably holds a lot more than what you think it's capable of holding.
It's nature's cookie jar.
But maybe he doesn't even have a drug problem. Maybe he just likes shoving that up there. Oh, I've never smoked crack in my life. But the shape of the pipe and that foil and the way it feels inside.
Well, maybe it's not so much about the pleasure involved.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the fact, we all have our own talents, our own hidden talents that, sometimes we share, sometimes we learn how to foster those talents, other times we just keep it to ourselves. This is one of those times where maybe he discovered, hey, you're not going to believe this. I'm not only double jointed, but I also have an extraordinarily large colon. Yeah. And at that point, he's like, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
With this sudden skill.
It's like the clown pulling the scarves out of his
mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this
is
other
different.
One. Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah. What about one scarf? How about a dozen scarves? And he does that Peter Griffin. All right, we've officially done this showdown to nothing now. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be cloudy. There is going to be some heavy thunderstorms later on this afternoon with a high of 86. Tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 83. It is 75 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
GG 652 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's going to be, I just gave you the forecast. There's going to be some severe thunderstorms this afternoon, so just be on the lookout.
This week on Baxi's Musical Podcast, my guest is Neil Gust from the band Heat Miser, also from Number 2, former student at Hampshire College in Amherst. Number 2 had a brand new album out, came out like in the end of 2022 called First Love, which is excellent. And Heat Miser has just released a collection of unreleased tracks, demos, and live tracks. It's amazing, called The Music of Heat Miser. Really interesting guy. He's had an amazing career. The late Elliott Smith was his collaborator on Heat Miser. He even played a couple of songs on Number 2 before he died. But Neil Gust is my guest this week on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Rock102.com, as well as the app. It's all brought to you by Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee, and Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
If someone showed up, it's so weird. We were just talking about this earlier this hour. If someone showed up at your place right now, would the first words out of your mouth be, sorry, it's such a mess? If they went to your house?
I don't know if it would be the first thing. It might be like the second or third thing.
Yeah.
First thing is, what are you doing here?
A new poll by...
Get off my yard.
A new poll by Swiffer.
Swiffer.
Well, Swiffer runs polls, too.
Right.
And I don't even know how many people participated in the Swiffer poll.
I would think most people would delete it when it came over your phone.
They found 45% of Gen Zers and millennials would be embarrassed if someone saw the current state of their home. The top excuse for not cleaning was, I just don't have time. But is that really true? Actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
The average person said it would take about 2 hours to clean their entire place, and they usually procrastinate for almost 3 hours before they start. 36% said the only time they clean is when they're expecting guests. Otherwise, they just deal with the filth. You know, my mother used to do that, and this was abundantly clear once she was no longer living in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime we'd go to visit her, the house would be pretty clean, right?
Yeah.
And then when she wasn't living there anymore and she started getting Alzheimer's and all this other stuff, her bedroom, she had this big ass bedroom, right?
Right.
But it was filled with boxes of things that she would just, if somebody was coming to stay, she'd put everything in a box and then.
So she's basically moving her filth from one place to another.
Moving her junk from one place to another. So when I had to go clean out the house and start going through all that stuff, I had to go through every single box. There wasn't just a box of newspapers. It was a box of like Sunday circular coupons with important tax information. So you had to separate all that stuff because you want to make sure you shred the tax information stuff versus the junk. So I had to go through all of that
every
stuff.
bit of it.
Yeah. Not everyone is a total slob, though. 45% say they do at least some cleaning each day. Kitchens and living rooms are the most likely to be tidied up daily, but 31% admit there's at least one room that hasn't been cleaned in over 6 months.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Well, because how much? You don't use every room in your house.
No, I mean we got a 3-bedroom house. I mean,
Right.
There's only 2 of us, so yeah, there's a couple of rooms that don't get used. That hide everything.
I would say having 2 teenagers in the house makes it very difficult to keep it kept up.
Even though you could, some would say, well, you have more hands in the house to clean things, but that also means you have more hands in the house to dirty things up.
Yeah, which I wish it was the other way around.
Yeah, right.
I wish it was the more hands to help clean versus,
Yeah, that's not when you have teenagers.
It's kind of frustrating.
Well, good news, Steve. You probably have only another 15 years of that.
Well, but it's just like how I didn't teach them to be that way.
No, it's inevitable.
But it's this like yesterday. I can't even. I don't want to say this. I can't even talk about it because I don't want to embarrass anybody. I'm just saying it's just like just pick up the stuff. Like pick up the stuff. I don't care if you make a mess. Just
pick up
clean
after yourself.
the mess up. Yeah,
that's right.
like how easy that is.
It's 6:57 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Rock 102.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, your grilling destination. Weber, Big Green Egg, Uni Pizza Ovens, and Traeger Wood-Fired Grills.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, what do you say we take a hot second to talk about all the thrills and excitement of WNBA basketball? As you know, I'm just about the biggest fan of the women's game that there is. Are you kidding me? I can name off a list of WNBA players that's at least 4 or 5 names deep. So I think I'm more than qualified to talk about it openly and without apology. As you know, the league has experienced tremendous growth in the last 12 months. After years of being largely ignored and subsidized by the NBA, the WNBA is really starting to come into its own. Better attendance, about to get into an 11-year broadcast deal with Disney, Amazon, and NBC Universal, and after nearly 30 years, ESPN is finally peeling themselves away from other things to talk about women's basketball. Yesterday, the WNBA announced their plan to expand the league by launching 3 new franchises over the next 5 years. This includes teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. Plus, you have teams entering the league next season in both Toronto and Portland. This means they will grow from 13 teams to 18 by the year 2030. In other words, this gives the league 5 more teams to hate Caitlin Clark. Rather than just have 13 teams consumed with jealousy, you'll now have 18 of them. And frankly, I can't think of a better way to expand the league than with a little bit more indignation about Caitlin Clark getting all the attention. And don't get me started on that $28 million endorsement deal she landed with Nike. No, sir, this is what expansion is all about. is about expanding the wealth of disconcerting envy. Even though she may be the brightest star in the NBA's entire 30-year history, there really is no getting around that misplaced resentment. And so, if that means a few malicious flagrant fouls come her way, well, that's just money in the bank. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You know who loves the Wild and Strong brand habanero bird food? Cardinals and chickadees. You know who hates it? Squirrels. Songbirds can't taste the hot pepper. Go to Rocky's Wild and Strong bird food, only $6 a bag. Habanero and other assorted flavors at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 7:09. And Motley Crue with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
It is going to be cloudy today and then some severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon with a high of 86. Tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 83. It is 75 in downtown Springfield. Are you ready for another round of Am I the A-Hole?
Yes.
I got you. This one's pretty good. I like this one because it reminds me of things that I used to do. With kids' birthday parties.
Okay.
Am I the a-hole for loading kids up on sugar at my 6-year-old son's birthday party when the other parents just dropped them off? This past weekend, we hosted a birthday party for my son, who's 6. Standard setup, park location, party games, balloons, snacks, you name it, right? Mm-hmm. We had some cookies, lollipops, and drinks available, water, juice, and yes, Coke. Pretty normal stuff for a kid.
Cane or Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Pretty much, wow. Hey, kids, who wants to pin nose beers on the donkey? Nothing extreme. Here's the thing. Most parents just dropped their kids off and left. Some didn't even say hi or check in, just handed the kid over and took off. Again, I don't mind hosting, but if you're not going to stay, I'd assume you'd trust what's on offer. You know,
Yeah.
These people sound British, by the way.
Yeah, no, I get it. So
now, a couple of those same parents are apparently complaining we loaded their kids with sugar and gave them Coke. One mom said, is it British? One mum said her kid was bouncing off the walls and that we were irresponsible. But here's what gets me. Every kid who was offered a Coke said they were allowed to have it. No one mentioned any restrictions, allergies, or preferences. Meanwhile, my son doesn't like fizzy drinks or juice. He only drinks water or milk, so it's not like I was pushing anything on him or anybody else. The food and drink were just there. It's help yourself style. If someone had mentioned their kid wasn't allowed to drink those drinks, I would have absolutely respected that. But I can't read minds, and if you don't stay for the party or say anything about dietary restrictions, can you really be upset afterwards?
I mean, if you gave no instructions, how can you be? I mean, you're leaving it up to the kid to decide?
Yeah, so am I the a-hole for not micromanaging what the other kids ate and drank at the party where their own parents weren't even present? No, I don't think you are, because you're absolutely right. If somebody came to me and said, listen, I can't stay, but my kid can't have dairy or whatever, some kind of food out. You don't want to make somebody sick. You're not out there to make them to do something horrible to a kid. But if you don't say that, then
that's up to the kid to tell the hosts.
Yeah,
you're gonna leave that up to the kid.
Yeah,
not for nothing, but I don't ever recall. Maybe I've done it. I don't recall doing it, but I don't think I ever dropped my kids off to a party where I didn't go to the house and just say, "Hey, here's my number," or whatever. If there's ever any problems, let me know. I always at least bring the kids to the door.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't do it now because they're in their 20s. They're full-fledged adults, and they don't really ask me for rides. But nevertheless, I would at least try to. I wouldn't just drop the kids off.
You would be surprised how many people do that.
Yeah,
and don't even question like where they're dropping their kid off. It's weird.
No, I've always have done that.
I'm always the especially when my kids are younger. I want to go over to this kid's house or this kid wants to come over here. All right, give me the parent's information so I can speak with the parent and introduce myself and know where these people live and who am I putting you in care of for a couple of hours on an afternoon?
There have been times when I have brought my kids to a party at someone's house I didn't know. And at the very least, I wanted to know who these people were. Mm-hmm. So even if they were weird and sketchy, and occasionally that does happen, at least I'm aware of it so that I'm hypervigilant to be there on time to pick them up early or whatever it may be. Or I'm on guard. That,
yeah.
There could potentially be something going on. So I'm ready for it.
I had one kid.
But I never just, you pull up to the driveway and say, all right, get out. That's not me.
One time I probably had like a dozen kids over the house, right?
Yeah.
And this one kid was dropped off. This little girl ate probably 25 or 30 blow pops.
Oh my God.
And I didn't realize the kids were like they were opening presents and doing all the the whole hey, let's see what the kid got for the birthday, and all these kids are bringing over presents. I didn't realize this kid was sitting in the corner, like just opening up blow pops, chewing it, swallowing it, the whole thing.
Oh my God!
Like chewing it enough to get it to the bubblegum part, chewing it, and then taking another one. And so there was like this little pile in the corner of this kid eating all these blow pops. And man, that kid must have gotten sick when she got home.
I will tell you this. I will tell you the story. Only because the whole family no longer lives in the area, and I have no problem telling this anymore. Many, many years ago, one of my kids had a sleepover with 3 other kids.
Yeah.
2 of the other kids did nothing but fight the entire time, like all night long, the entire time. To the point, and it was one kid who was instigating it.
Yeah.
The other kid that was fighting, just was defending herself verbally against all this abusiveness, to the point where I had to tell the kid and the parents, listen, not for nothing, I don't want your kid at my house ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to do that. But
you have to put your foot down, though.
You have to.
Yeah.
First of all, it's your house. These are you are responsible for all these kids.
Right.
Your kid is having a sleepover. They want to have fun. It's been ruined by one kid who's just miserable and making everybody else miserable. And, a couple of times they're like, do I end this right now and tell the parents to go pick up their kid? Because I was close to doing that. And I said, I'm going to wait till they fall asleep and see how it goes. But in the morning, I'm telling the parents how bad it went. And I did. And we never saw that kid again.
Well, good for you.
Aces.
Yeah, you put your foot down.
You have to. You got to be responsible when you're doing that. And just like the parent that drops the kid off, you have to be responsible too.
Yeah, something happens, it's all on you.
That's it.
Here's another one. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my ex-husband's wife homeschool my children?
Oh, boy.
I,
Okay.
31 female, share 2 children, 9 and 8, with my my ex-husband, Aaron, who's 35. Aaron's cheating ended our marriage, and before long, he had moved in with Nicole, 34, and her children, 11, 10, 8, and 6. So now you're adding 2 more to this. This you got 6 kids. You're not Mike and Carol Brady.
Well,
Aaron,
they only had 6 kids because of the way they came together.
Yeah.
And they knew that it was much more than a bunch.
Oh, they came together.
Yes.
A lot. Aaron and Nicole have a 2-year-old together, and they're expecting another child.
Oh, my God.
Even before Aaron and Nicole met, she homeschooled her children. While my kids attend public school, this was mentioned as a problem before they were even married, but I ignore them. Now this has come up again, and they're being a thorn in my side about it. Nicole said it's unfair for her children to see mine go to school while hers do not. She told me her kids have become jealous, and it's causing issues for her parenting. And for her and Aaron's family. I told her this was not my problem and she needed to figure out how to manage that, as that is the life of blended families. Not everything is going to be the same or equal for the kids of different marriages. Aaron asked me to homeschool a few times, and I told him I would not entertain the idea. He even asked the kids who were worried when they came to me about it. They didn't want to leave their friends and teachers, and they didn't want to stay home all day like Nicole's kids. I reassured them I would not be saying yes to homeschooling for them. Now, Aaron and Nicole are on a mission to make me agree to Nicole homeschooling my kids alongside hers. Apparently, they have the 2-year-old started into some sort of pre-K homeschooling as they feel it's only fair for my kids to join in too. I said no. I even had my lawyer and their lawyer send a letter officially stating my position on this. My lawyer has also documented everything, yada, yada, yada. Now they're claiming I don't have good reason to refuse other than to disrupt their home and to keep Nicole from playing a bigger role in the lives of my children. So am I the a-hole for not allowing my kids to be homeschooled by this woman?
No. Actually, I don't think she is being the a-hole here. I mean, if she's adamant about, well, let me back up a little bit. What's best for the education of the kid?
Yeah.
For the kid to be homeschooled or for them to be in a more traditional school setting? Because that sometimes depends on the kid.
Listen, I'm not making a snap judgment here.
Yeah.
But homeschool kids are kind of weird.
But no judgment. You're not judging anything. No.
Because I feel like, well, first of all, you don't have the interaction that you would have in a social setting.
Well, unless you got 6 or 7 kids.
Yeah, but it's the same 6 and 7 kids all the time.
It's the same 20, 25 kids in a classroom.
You got to get... Okay, but at least you change classrooms every year, and there's different kids to interact with.
True.
In a school setting. But it's like, how do you know that this person is actually following through with the educational?
Well, there are requirements to school to homeschooling, and they're actually not simple. I mean, there's a lot of oversight.
But I mean,
but if you can't get both parents to agree to it,
right,
then the answer should be no. I mean, both parents have to agree to it. That's just the way it is.
Am I the a-hole for thinking that homeschool kids are kind of weird?
Steve, I would say that the kids are just merely following the model of their parents.
Listen, I did it.
So if you think that they're the weird kids, it's probably because they're weird parents.
Yeah, I did it during the pandemic, and I took on the role of I'm going to be the shop teacher who puts bourbon in his cup and goes out to the shed. While you guys just
you had that wood
you
shop
guys
teacher too?
You guys have it's free classroom time all day long.
We're gonna watch a movie today.
I would never be able to be a homeschool teacher.
No, not me either.
From all the time when I was listening to when they were on the Zoom calls and the Google Classroom and all that stuff, if I had to be a teacher, this is why I give them so much credit.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to tell them to turn their microphones off or sit up straight, if I had to do that many times, I would be going nuts over that whole scenario.
Yeah.
But even scenario aside, you got a glimpse of what happens in the classroom.
I during the pandemic, I watched my wife teach from home, and she's a special ed teacher, and I saw her do it. And after all that time, I don't think I could have had more respect for my wife and what she had to do in order to actually teach in that situation. It was absolutely astounding. I learned so much about science that year.
I'm not the one to be responsible for teaching a child basic things.
Well, you are, but that's just parenting.
I'm talking about all right, I'm gonna teach you how to behave around people when you're out in public.
Yeah,
that's my job.
Yes,
the job of the teacher is to teach them all the learning things, and obviously there's some backup of that at home. But the main job of the teacher is to teach them all the things that I had known nothing about, and this is what I'm talking about. The people that are teaching their kids at school. How much do you really trust them be?
You're putting a lot of faith. You're putting a lot of faith on the line there.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, there you go. There's another round of Am I the A-hole?
It's 7:23 with Bax and Nagle at Rock 102.
Hi.
7:32 with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102. It's time for news. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. We were talking last hour about the Schermerhorn Seafood Market.
Yes.
New concerns over the future of the historical Schermerhorn Seafood Market and restaurant in Holyoke. A permit to remodel the building was granted back in October, but now it seems construction has been delayed and the community is wondering why.
What happened?
Western Mass News is getting answers from the mayor as well as the restaurant owner. Over the weekend, some controversy over the project erupted on social media when the owner posted on Facebook regarding the holdup in reopening Schermerhorns. I've built, designed, permitted 350 commercial buildings, iconic buildings like Brunel's Marina that I designed and built that. There are many places in Holyoke that we've designed and built, so we do this for a living. I have professional engineers on staff. They're all baffled why this is happening. This has never happened to us before in the last 25, 30 years of my career, said Frank DeMarinis, the co-owner of Schermerhorn Seafood Restaurant and Fish Market. They build, they got had the construction for, all those sports complexes out in Westfield, like the Roots and all that stuff. They do quite a bit of developing for, the local economy,
sure,
and all that stuff. A lot of retail space. I would find it hard to imagine that a guy who's done so much would be, he's being accused of not following through with paperwork or something like that. I don't know. It's like, get this place back open.
Well, if the city is standing in the way, there's got to be some level of compromise between the builder and the city.
Yeah.
And a stop work order, it would be interesting to know exactly what that means and what provoked that. I mean, I've had a couple of people send me some things about what is going on there, and that there's got to, come on, this has got to be resolvable.
DeMarinis claims the Holyoke Building Department
I got a bunch of tartar sauce that is going to waste.
Tartar
sauce that is going to waste, waiting for Schermerhorns to open up. Meanwhile, Shermy, the mascot at Schermerhorns, been standing out there in Holyoke, nothing to do, just waiting for someone to come up with some cocktail sauce for him.
Are you making that up? Is there really a mascot called Shermy?
Have you not seen the TV commercials?
I don't think I have.
Well, then maybe you need to find them on the YouTubes, because
maybe I
perhaps
Shermy.
Shermy. Yes, Shermy. He is their mascot. I believe he is a shrimp.
Oh.
Or some sort of crustacean.
Crab?
Not a crab. I believe he's a shrimp.
Yeah, listen, there's plenty of places.
And I don't mean that as an insulting term.
There's plenty of places to get crabs in Holyoke.
Oh, up and down all over the place.
You don't need a seafood joint to get that.
You could go up and down High Street. You could go to the mall. You could probably get it at the carousel if you wanted. I mean, if you're really looking for it.
How come they don't have mascots at other businesses like an STD clinic? Why wouldn't you have Peter the pubic lice? You know what I mean?
A mascot called Bernie.
Yeah,
Bernie Sensation.
Yeah, just a big open sore.
Band-Aids all over him. Yeah, right.
Oh, he's leaking.
Don't worry, I'll pick up after myself.
Or like the methadone clinic doesn't have there's no needle.
Right.
There's like a syringe. Sammy the syringe standing outside going, "Hey kids, come on down to the methadone clinic. We'll fix you right up."
Dopey, the dope sick clown.
And you know what? Here's what people can't see on the radio. I'm waving my arms around in the studio like I'm one of those inflatable, wacky, fun guys. You get a methadone clinic who's shaped like a syringe.
Yeah. Well, it helps us get into character.
Well, yeah, it helps the acting.
Yes.
When I talk with my hands.
Oh, you gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Anyway, DeMarinis claims the Holyoke Building Department has stopped the project unlawfully many times, adding that back on May 16th, the Holyoke Building Department issued another stop work order. Western Mass News spoke with DeMarinis on Monday afternoon. He's frustrated with what he calls the unprofessionalism of the city when it comes to the project. He goes, I took an eyesore in the city that was not structurally sound, and I'm trying to fix it, trying to build it. And that time now brings everything up, the building code, and now they're stopping me from doing it. It does seem kind of weird that you've gotten so far in the project, then all of a sudden that the building department is like, well, you know what? You're not doing it right.
Somebody sent me a whole long laundry list of stuff here, and I can't, unfortunately, I can't read the whole thing on the air because it's just too long. But Schermerhorn's needs to be rebuilt. There are employees that are looking to get back to work, and this is all about permits and demolition and stuff like that. So hopefully this can get resolved quickly, and we can get back to getting Shermy back on the payroll.
The mayor says the reason for the first stop work order was because the permit was approved originally was for a remodel, not a complete demolition. However, the mayor said on December 3rd of 2024, the building department received a complaint that Schermerhorn's had been demolished completely except for the front wall facade. Technically, that's not a full demolishment. There are so many different things you can do to get around the fact that you're not going for a full demolishing of a building.
Right.
And if you keep at least one facade on there, that's technically not a full demolition. And somebody at the Holyoke Building Department's got a big craw up their butt over this.
Now, they're also saying that there was no record of any demolition paperwork such as lead and asbestos testing, and the permit was not amended by the owner to reflect the changes in scope. Okay, well, is that an oversight, and can that be corrected? Or do you have
Whose fault is that? Isn't that the building commissioner's fault for not ordering that before they even started doing any of this stuff?
My guess is this is a whole lot more complicated than anyone is making it, but it does sound like there were some things that may have been an oversight, and it could have been on any number of sides in this issue.
What's going on over in Chicopee? Let's check that out.
Okay.
The primary slated for September 16th and Erection Day on November 4th.
Steve, I believe it is Election Day, not Erection Day.
Have you ever run into these politicians? I'm pretty sure it's Erection Day.
Yeah. No, I've seen some of them, and then there's no reason for an erection.
Their campaigning for the next election cycle is in full swing. However, one candidate is already facing the cons of the contest after one of his promotional signs was stolen right off a heavily traveled Chicopee street. Western Mass News spoke with the candidate about what happened. Raj Sangvi said, "I was just passing by the other day and said, where'd my sign go?" Typically, it would be the votes that are counted in an election, but right now it's the counting of signs that's occurring. Sangvi is the first-time candidate running for city solicitor or city collector in Chicopee, and with the primary just over 2 months away, he's gotten a head start on his campaigning. But recently, Sangvi had one of his 4-foot by 8-foot signs stolen off the Highland Farms gas station property. His signs can actually be found at 23 other locations throughout Chicopee, but this type of crime is not something that's uncommon. A lot of politicians told me this happens. It's normal during the election season. This is just part of the game. But he says at the end of the day, it's not him who suffers from the steal, it's his supporters. It's not about the value of the sign. It's more about the hard work the committee puts in to design the sign, to install it, and the people who donate it. And he says that stealing or defacing campaign property should not be done to any candidate, regardless of your political beliefs. If you don't like somebody, just don't vote for them.
What if the sign says long-haired freaky people need not apply?
And the sign says long-haired freaky people need not apply. Yeah. Well, then you call Tesla.
Or the 5-man electrical band.
No, I believe Tesla.
Nah, I prefer the original.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Anyway, stop stealing signs. Here's what you do. You don't steal a political sign. You drive by that property. You look who has the sign.
Yeah.
And then you quietly make fun of them in your head for putting a sign out on their lawn promoting somebody in a political arena.
You know, in these troubled times of great divisiveness, Steve, that may be the safest option available.
You think so?
Yeah, because, otherwise you could be, So if you get caught stealing someone's political lawn sign, there's nothing. There's nothing to stop the owner of that property from running out of his house and tussling with you on the front yard.
Well, I'm just saying, you're kind of douchey if you put political lawn signs in your.
Yeah, I won't do it.
I'll never do it. I won't even put. I've had people do work for me.
And you don't want the
Hey,
sign.
can I put a sign? No.
Yeah.
This isn't an advertising space, and the value that you're going to give me for putting the advertising sign in my yard is not worth. I'd rather just pay you the full price.
I've told very good friends of mine who have run for office, don't ask.
Yeah.
I'm not putting a sign in my front yard, support any candidate. And it's not because of you, it's every candidate, so don't take that personally. I'm not going to do it. And I never have. I don't want anyone to know who I'm leaning for or who I'm voting for. That's my business.
It's not even that. It's tacky.
Well,
you
yes.
drive by these houses and you see it, for all the people who are like, well, you can't have junk in your driveway. That's a town bylaw. But you can have garbage all over your lawn with somebody's name on it.
Yes.
Sometimes the name is the garbage, the very garbage that you're trying to promote.
Sometimes that is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would. No way am I putting lawn signs on my.
I don't even like logos on my garbage buckets.
Well, especially ones that are spelled incorrectly.
Especially those.
Massachusetts. They're having a field day over in Ludlow.
Sure they are.
Yeah, what is the point of that? Having the whole town seal on the side of something anyway. That just seems like an extra cost that you don't need. You just put an L on the side of each one, denoting this is from Ludlow.
See, so we got private trash pickup in Hamden. So the private trash company provided the buckets with their own logo on it. And I got no problem with that.
I do.
No, that's just them marketing themselves. And again, there's multiple. They have to do that because there's multiple companies that remove trash in my town.
Do it by color.
Well, it's
the pink,
they often
the pink
do.
Dumpster guy. He's got the pink.
Right. But there's also you need a different color for the recycle bucket too. So I mean, listen,
Why
I'm
does
more
it need
than
to
happy.
be the whole logo though? Why can't it just be
so they know it's
block
so
lettering?
When the
on
truck
top?
comes by my house, they know every time that's theirs. That way, they're not picking up somebody's trash on some other day or with some other bucket.
Yeah, but if they know, like if they put let's just say it's Bax's waste disposal.
Yes.
And instead of putting your big logo up on the side of the thing, you just write little block letters, the ones you can stick on from you can buy from Rockies.
Yeah, I mean they're doing it for their own marketing
Bax's
purposes.
dumpster.
They're doing it for their own marketing purposes too. I'm sure there are people in my neighborhood that are looking at my buckets and saying, "Man, what I wouldn't do to get one of them buckets. I'd love to have one of those, as opposed to my cheap little chintzy ones that I bought from this other company."
But I have that radio advertising mentality.
Sure.
If you're gonna, you should give me a deeper discount the more ridiculous your logo is on the side of whatever you're dropping off at my house.
If you can make that arrangement, then good for you.
Yeah.
Most people don't have that kind of savvy.
Well, you just got to speak up.
Well,
and say it.
most people don't. Most people just sit there and they take what's coming to them.
We've wasted enough time on
Have
this.
we really,
Yes,
though?
we have. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be cloudy with a high of 86. Could see some severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon as well. Tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 83. It's 75 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Yeah.
You've got to try the
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 7:52, and Queen with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Cloudy today with a high of 86. Going to see some severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon as well. Tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 83. It is 75 right now in downtown Springfield.
Now, the weather for Friday is supposed to be pretty nice, right? Supposed to be a pretty nice
Supposed
day.
to be really nice and a great night for the Springfield fireworks.
Now, the Free Music Friday concert this week at MGM has been moved to a different time. I mean, explain what's happening. So the fireworks at the riverfront going to happen at the normal time. Typically, Free Music Friday starts at like 7:30 when the band hits the stage. But Steve and the road crew are going to be there from 5:30 to 7:30. The band starts at 6. This week it's Trailer Trash. I don't know if you are aware of them, but they play fairly frequently. And by the way, wear your best patriotic costume, enter the costume contest and stick around after the show with the fireworks and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And the winner of the costume contest will get to go on the 8th floor of the garage to enjoy a very special viewing party.
Yes.
On the 8th floor of the garage.
Yeah, well, I like parking up there. normally.
On the 8th floor.
Yeah, but it's not always open.
Well, that's one of the reasons why.
Well, yeah, but there was no party there the other night for the what is it, Trailer Swift show I was at the other. But maybe it's because of the volume of people. Maybe they open it up when it's really busy there. But that would be a great place to see the fireworks.
Sure it would.
And you get the costume contest. I'm not going to be the one judging.
Well, thank God for that.
They will have judges peppered out throughout the area.
All
you
right.
won't even know who they are.
There'll be mystery judges, but nevertheless, it'll be a great time. I mean, you're just talking about not like one great night for Springfield. Trailer trash at the Plaza at MGM, and then the fireworks immediately after that.
Yeah.
I mean, that just sounds like one great night out.
And seafood up in Hollywood. Oh no, not yet, not now. Somebody who did where did I see that? I'll return your lawn sign for $20 and a fish sandwich. That deal is gone by the way of the dinosaur.
Yeah,
that is no longer available.
Especially since it was originally a $10 payout on a fish sandwich.
Well, inflation.
I get it. Without Shermhorns, it's a matter of supply and demand. There's so much less fish being sold in these parts now.
Well, that's what happens. What else is going on? I'm looking forward to Friday night.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun night out.
It is going to be a fun night out.
Lots of things going on down there.
The Springfield fireworks, I don't want to say we're underselling it with Judy yesterday because Judy Matt from the Spirit of Springfield was here, and she's the one who lights the wick. But that is always an outstanding display.
That means two things,
perhaps, but it's maybe the most impressive display in the area.
Yeah,
and certainly more impressive than East Law Meadows will be this week.
Well, but they got stuff going on every night.
Of course they do.
Well, you can't.
Most of it has to do with the beer tent, to be honest.
Well, yeah. What about the pre-beer tent before you even get on the ground?
Well, there is the pre-game activities as well.
How many nip bottles? Listen, I was walking in the early spring. I was walking this bike trail.
Right.
Now it's kind of overgrown. You don't really want to walk there. You can walk on the paved portion down by the Dunkin' Donuts where it starts down there. But there's this section here that goes behind the radio station, which is a little overgrown. But there were so many nip bottles and beer cans back there. It's we play the game of bum or kids.
Who was it?
Vagrant or vagrant or adolescent?
Yeah, who are the alcoholics in your neighborhood?
Yeah, is it the guy with the sign outside on the traffic island at the Stop and Shop, or is it the neighborhood kid that lives in one of these neighborhoods over here?
Right.
It could be a mix of both.
I'll tell you what, when you see a guy who's got like a big, Batman-sized utility belt, with nothing but Fireball all around his waist,
Fireball man.
You know that guy's looking for a good time that night, and you'll find it this week in East Law Meadows.
Yeah, but you're not going to get onto the grounds with all that Fireball in your belt. That's why you need to consume all of it before you even step on the grounds of the carnival.
No one's going to stop you if you got it.
Yeah, you can't have a carnival. You can't have a good time at a carnival without at least getting 3 sheets to the wind before you even show up.
It's 7:57 with Bax and Nagle at Rock 102.
Caller tech.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:11 and Quiet Riot with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Cloudy today with a high of 86 and then severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon. Tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 83. It is 75 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm reading this story, and I saw this last night. And the headline, Massachusetts man accused of stabbing mom's boyfriend 17 times, dousing him in lighter fluid in deadly fight over steaks. A Massachusetts man is accused of stabbing his mother's boyfriend 17 times and dousing him in lighter fluid after an argument over steaks during Saturday dinner. 41-year-old Andrew Horseman seemingly snapped during the fight over steaks with his mom's longtime partner, 66-year-old Paul Pomerleau, and went into a bloody rage at the older man's home. Horseman stalked over to Pomerleau and proceeded to stab him in a staggering 17 times. Prosecutor Lawson said during the alleged killer's arraignment on hearing on Monday. After Pomerleau collapsed, Horseman poured a gallon of lighter fluid on his prone body, but he failed to set Pomerleau on fire as another relative intervened. The accused stabber fled the scene, but was arrested soon after near the residence and charged with murder. Pomerleau was rushed to a nearby hospital but died within the hour. Horseman was living at the home with his mother and Pomerleau. According to Lawson, the men had... This is the way the New York Post wrote this.
Okay.
The men had prior beef before the deadly stabbing.
Oh, my God. Really? That's insensitive.
Pomerleau was reportedly critical of his girlfriend's son for being unemployed and still living with his mother at his age.
What does that have to do with the stakes?
I don't know. But, as tragic as this story is, there's perfectly good steaks that are now completely ruined and nobody got to enjoy them.
I don't want to seem like I don't have a heart or some level of compassion for this terrible, tragic story.
Yeah.
But what was it about the steaks that caused this guy to go ballistic?
Well, I mean, how many times haven't you ever, I had this happen. And this is a guy came over my house once.
Okay.
Guy used to work here as an intern.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Good friend of both of ours, right?
Yes.
He came over my house one time. This was years ago. And I'm making steaks. And he's telling me that's not the way you do it. And then all of a sudden, me as the host who was cooking the steaks or about to cook the steaks,
Right.
I feel like I'm being shamed by a guest. You got to push the seasoning into the meat. You can't just sprinkle it on there. And he goes into this diatribe. I'm like, you're getting a free meal. What the hell do you care how it's cooked?
Yeah, there's always got to be some hot shot who thinks he's got a better way.
Yeah.
But this is the same kind of guy, and I don't know if he would do this, but I could see it happening. Mm-hmm. He'd stand there behind you at the grill, criticizing how you're cooking his steak. The steak comes off the grill, goes on the plate, you guys sit down, you're about to eat into your steak, and he pours ketchup all over it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of person
That's
we're talking about
here. That's the kind of person
here.
he would do that.
You know what I'm talking? Warning about you ruining the steak, and what does he do? He ruins the steak with ketchup.
Or A1.
Yeah, it's so unnecessary.
Joshua Wood, Horseman's attorney, claims his client's violent response was the culmination of years of unaddressed domestic violence. So it wasn't the steak mishap that caused the argument. It was just the final argument that they had.
It was the final lighting of the torch. Was this like he wanted it done, say, like a medium rare, and it came off the grill kind of like medium well?
Well, I mean, you probably when you're
because in a case like that, and again, not to seem insensitive, but I would start throwing punches if that were the case with my steak.
Hey, you're in rare form tonight.
Yes,
and then the boyfriend winds up with a blackened eye.
He's a rare medium done well.
I just, I was, I don't mean to be insensitive. I was a little concerned more about the meat than I was about the situation that happened. Because it seems like these two guys just didn't like each other to begin with.
Well, that could very well be. But, the story is, the headline suggests this is really about the steak.
Right.
And what he did with the steak that may have led to his demise. It's a tragic tale. It's a very sad story. There's people who have to pick up the pieces of this mess, but nevertheless, what's going on with a steak?
Yeah, well, you drop it on the ground. Come on.
I know.
It's not worth it. Although I used to enjoy the Drunken Dad chicken with the, I told you before, it was raw in the middle and blackened on the outside with a little piece of grass on it.
Oh, yeah. You know where that came from.
Yeah.
Right from the ground.
Well, it was the all natural. That was the original organic farm to table chicken.
You know there's been a problem with the chicken to say, like, there's a tick on it.
Well, no, that just gives it character. Listen.
And extra protein.
This chicken is so good, even ticks like it. Let's move to a different story here. The co-owner of a Jersey Shore brunch spot apologized on a local radio station after the restaurant posted a controversial TikTok where she said customers who complained about high prices can F off. Dawn Spivak, the co-owner of Taylor Sam's, called into the New Jersey local morning show down there. It sounds like open lines.
It does.
Right? After the restaurant's video received backlash from customers. According to the report, Spivak said she was trying to make a funny video at the time, thought it was probably not the best decision. She went on to say that the customers who complained were rude and abusive to her staff, which is something she wouldn't tolerate. I was just trying to make a joke. I'm sorry. Now I'm effed. Now, the curse at the end of her apology led to Spivak's call getting dumped, as we do.
Right.
Though the New Jersey radio station said she did call in later to apologize for her apology.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Taylor
So
said,
they must do open lines at 7 and at 8 o'clock like we do.
Yeah, pretty much.
See, we're not the only ones going through the motions at the end of the week.
Well, I told you that the whole War of the Roses thing is just a cookie-cutter bit that is performed at many different radio stations across the country, sometimes with the same characters.
Yeah, including the hysterically laughing intern in the background.
Right. Taylor Sam's has been in the spotlight since the restaurant's now deleted TikTok drew criticism from customers. In the video, a restaurant employee can be seen informing Spivak that customers were complaining about the restaurant's high prices and said they're literally double than the restaurant that was there before them. Yeah, well, our food is double the quality and double the flavor. You can double go and F off. You know,
why does this sound like a Gordon Ramsay place?
Maybe perhaps a better approach to that is, listen, we understand the prices from our distributors have increased. The prices and the fees that it costs to run this place from the town have increased. Prices here, prices there. We're not telling you to F off. We're just telling you this is our issue this is the issue that we're having on our end.
Right.
Telling people to go F off probably isn't the best business model for you to do.
If you go with the old adage that the customer is always right.
Yeah.
You know, telling them to F off is almost like counter to that philosophy.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite. That's showing almost like a disregard for your customer.
According to a report from New Jersey Advanced Media, restaurant co-owner Scott Spivak said there was a miscommunication with the restaurant's marketing team that led them to think the video was approved for posting when it actually wasn't. Taylor Sam's later posted an apology with a video with Dawn Spivak and Nick George, the owner, though it was removed after receiving further backlash. Sometimes trying to make an apology, it's best if you just leave it alone. Because people's attention spans are so short that they'll forget about it tomorrow if you just let it be.
Do you remember, like, years ago, this has been like the 80s, early 90s, there was this restaurant trend of, like, theme restaurants in which, like, the wait staff, the waitresses would verbally abuse the customers.
Oh, Dick's Last Resort.
Dick's Last Resort, Ed DeBevick's in Chicago. There's a bunch of places that did this where, you know, restaurant employees finally had the opportunity to abuse customers like they would want to. And people would pay for the experience.
Yeah, but it wasn't even as bad as they made it out to be.
It was kind of like part of the show. But, you know, here's a restaurateur that would love to abuse verbally abuse his customers.
Yeah, well, and
if he marketed himself correctly, he could get away with it.
He would have been able to do that if he had just said, "Hey, this is the place you come for abuse."
Yes. You know, come for the abuse, stay for the pie. And that would have been a great way of marketing you.
But now you're getting canceled because you keep making apology videos for the thing you should have just let be.
Yeah, and now some dumb little radio show in Springfield, Massachusetts is talking about you like you're some sort of dope.
Well, and everybody's mentioning that other radio. Why can't we do something where we interview something and then, like, you know, when another radio station across the country goes, "Oh, that Rock 102 in Springfield."
Oh, you know why?
Yeah, why?
You know why we don't do that? Because that would require extra effort on our part.
I don't want to do extra effort.
See, neither do I.
All right. Well, then that will end our little news segment here.
It's 8:22 with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
The Rock 102 app. We're
Springfield's classic rock. It's 8:29 and the Foo Fighters with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
Liam's got the forecast for you. Next week, I'm going going to Tanglewood for the first time.
You've never been?
Never been to Tanglewood.
Oh, boy.
The Bare Naked Ladies are playing there.
That'd be nice. That'd be
So
good.
This is like the Waitley Ballet, right? This is the Bare Naked Ladies up there? Or
No.
the same as the Bare Naked Ladies up at Tanglewood?
No, I don't believe you'll need to bring extra $1 bills with you.
That's why they call it Tanglewood.
Yeah.
All right.
Port of the corn is what they call it. Yeah, that's right.
But no, it's Bare Naked Ladies with Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray is still around?
Mr. Mark McGrath will be within a stone's throw of me.
No, you don't want to throw stones.
And
Security will have you dragged out of there.
I wonder how caked on his makeup looks in person versus on camera.
I think he uses like a joint compound or
Probably.
a spackle or something like that.
And Fastball is going to be
Fastball, The Way. What a great song that is.
Did you ever hear the story behind that? About that how that song was written?
I think you told me about it.
Yeah. Released back in 1998, The Way, I'm just reading this off the internets. The Way was Fastball's breakout hit, catchy as hell with the upbeat alt-rock bounce, but it's based on a true story about two elderly people who went missing and died. It's actually a really dark story. In 1997, Leela and Raymond Howard, an elderly couple from Salado, Texas, set off to attend a nearby festival. Leela had Alzheimer's and Raymond was recovering from brain surgery, but they seemed fine to neighbors. They got in their car and just disappeared. They were missing for about 2 weeks, sparking a statewide search. Eventually, their car was found at the bottom of a ravine 200 miles off course in Arkansas. They had gotten lost, driven aimlessly, and died in the crash. Jeez. And the lead singer of Fastball, Tony Scalzo, saw the news reports and was struck by the tragedy, but also by something oddly romantic about it. He imagined a version of their story where they weren't confused or lost, but were instead escaping the world, leaving everything behind on purpose. He said, I thought it would be interesting to write a song where they meant to go and just kept driving like they found their way to be free. So, it breaks it down to all the different meanings of the song, whatever your interpretation was. The kids... the adult children of these people that had died had no idea that this song, that there was a song that was written about their parents, and were listening to the radio while that song was on going, boy, this sounds an awfully lot like
what happened to mom and dad.
Like mom and dad. And then there was, there was this whole big thing about how it was interconnected. And I don't think they were very happy about it.
Well, probably not.
Because
but
of
still.
in the fashion they died. But there's a little interesting music factoid tidbit for you.
Fun fact.
So, hey, Fastball next week at Tanglewood.
No, you'll have a good time. I mean, it's a beautiful spot. Yeah, you're on the lawn. You can sit back, relax. Enjoy some Fastball and Sugar Ray and Bare Naked Ladies.
You're going to enjoy it like an East Longmeadow Carnival. Lots of Mad Dog 2020 and a bunch of Fireball.
It's 8:32 on Rock 102.
Here's your Western Mass News first alert.
8:35 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news, and it is brought to you by, hold on, don't tell me, Big Y, your family market, his local radio icon, Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. A Springfield man has been arrested on numerous firearm charges after police found a rifle and a 100-round drum magazine inside his home on Friday. According to the Springfield Police Department, 23-year-old Anthony Perez Coisco, Jacques Coisco's son, the very Jacques Coisco we were talking about during Hollywood. Was it Hollywood?
Is it that, or is it the stuff that makes frosting?
Is it couscous?
No, Crisco.
Crisco?
Yes.
Oh, everybody's talking about the Crisco kid.
Yes, they are.
Anyway, Anthony Perez Coisco was taken into custody around 11:45 p.m. on Friday. They're told the 100-round drum magazine weren't the only items police found in his home on Woodrow Street. Detectives recovered a rifle, a 100-round drum magazine, a rifle magazine located with 30 rounds of ammunition, an unloaded rifle magazine capable of holding 30 rounds of ammunition, loose ammunition, and firearm accessories, noted Ryan Walsh. That's a lot of magazines. Who's buying that many magazines?
I haven't read a magazine, so I don't know how long.
It all started around 5:35 p.m. Friday after police were called to 2 separate shootings in the city. Officers responded to the 100 block of Summit Street for a ShotSpotter activation. Officers recovered evidence of the shooting. About 5 minutes later, officers responded to the second ShotSpotter activation on the 2300 block of Main Street, and officers recovered additional evidence. With the help of city police cameras, they were able to track down the vehicle involved with the, which was registered to Perez Cusco. And then they located him. They charged him with a bunch of stuff and yada, yada, yada. He's now facing all kinds of charges.
Busy day.
Busy People. You ever have that book when you were a kid? Busy Day, Busy People?
I don't know if I did.
It was like a dice. You like open up the book, and it was like a dissection of all these different workplaces. It was like the inside of a hospital, and then there was one inside of a construction zone,
one inside of like a fire station, sure,
and all
yeah,
that stuff.
Yeah,
and, yeah.
I forgot about those books.
That was a good.
Good series.
Good
of
series
books.
of books.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Anywho, let's see. Let's go to Blandford. Want to go to Blandford?
Now we're doing a show.
Residents in Blandford expressing their frustration, disapproval, and worry about several proposed projects they say could make their area too commercialized. Western Mass News is getting answers and spoke to some of those folks. The projects include new solar farms and lithium-ion battery storage facilities. Man, they're really pushing this lithium-ion battery storage facility thing. And
Gotta
all
put
of
them
the
somewhere.
towns have rejected it.
Well, who wants that? I mean, I understand. Like, no one really wants a solar farm in their backyard. Nobody really wants one of these facilities in their backyard.
Well,
I mean, they're kind of. You got to put these things somewhere, but I don't want to live next to one.
Here's what makes no sense about these solar farms. Why do they take a forested area, cut all the trees down, to then put a solar farm up when there's perfectly good spots of open land that are available for sale?
Oh, yeah.
That you don't need to cut any trees down. Utilize what you have versus what you want to make, because that's when it looks...
A lot of it, I think, depends on the owner of the land. There's probably plenty of open spaces, and they don't want to sell it to them. I tell you what's weird. If you go to like down by Lenox, here in East Longmeadow, all those soccer fields that were there for years have all been replaced by solar panels.
Right.
So now if you've got a kid playing soccer, they got to go all the way out to Heritage Park or you name it. It's so inconvenient. But there's a perfectly good, a really good place. You can park a car underneath those things. You can, it's like double purpose. Shade your parking lot and then get some solar energy.
Here's the problem. Multiple proposals for solar farms and lithium-ion battery storage facilities say they would ruin the character of the rural town. There are currently 3 solar farms in the vicinity, with 3 more recently proposed, said Ted Cozino, who has lived in the area for nearly 50 years, worries Blandford is becoming commercialized. People are not going to want to move here. I mean, you come out here to the country for privacy, security, and the beauty of it, and that's slowly being taken away by commercialism, and that's not right. There's a point to that. How many facilities are abandoned properties, like old mills and things like that you could turn those things into and utilize what's already there, as opposed to building a brand new facility and going into a place like this and
no, I got
tearing
you.
trees down.
I understand, but demolition costs money, and sometimes you're built on land that may need to be completely redone. I mean, there's lots of considerations here.
And listen, this is why there is not an exit for the Mass Pike in Blandford. It would be the perfect spot for one.
Yeah.
Because it's like halfway, well, not halfway, but it's at least it alleviates a 15, 20 mile distance between there and Lee. as opposed to 30 miles to Westfield.
If you didn't know any better, you'd swear there's nothing between Westfield and Lee.
I wish they would just keep the back end of the McDonald's open so you could go in and out of there.
That would be convenient, wouldn't it?
Why don't they do that? If you're local, you should be able to get off the bike there behind the facility, as opposed to just randomly opening it up. So you don't want all the commercial
Well, you
traffic
can't do
going
that.
on.
You'd have to monitor the whole thing all day long.
Well, what about those state troopers? They're just sitting there on the side of the highway. Put them to work.
State troopers can do anything a state trooper wants to do. You know that.
Well, what about the homeless? Well, do we have to worry about them now? Intimate knowledge of the streets, just sitting there all day.
A lot of upper body strength.
Why don't we just strap them to them?
Do we need to talk about the homeless?
Right.
Anywho,
let's see. Suspicious thing in Barkhamstead.
you know what you didn't mention?
What didn't I mention? Sean Diddy Combs, no verdict yet?
I want to get that information before I say anything here. Anyway, go on.
No, I'm not. I'm not going on. I don't have anything to go on. What do you want me to go on if I don't have anything to go on? Hey, Connecticut State Police are seeking the public's help in locating suspects following a Barkhamstead incident. Troopers said they're looking to identify 3 individuals in connection to a suspicious incident at a residence in town. No other details were released. If anyone has any information regarding these suspects, you're asked to contact the state police. When did Channel 3 start becoming 22?
I have no idea. When 22 isn't being 22.
They just have a picture of these 3 kids. Speaking of suspicious activity, last week, this kid shows up to my house.
Yeah.
Selling educational products. Door to door.
Really?
Yeah.
In the summertime?
Yeah. So I wasn't home, but I got pictures of the guy on surveillance, on the camera outside.
Yeah.
Which I then snapshotted and sent to all of my neighbors going, hey, does anybody know what this is all about? And one of my neighbors said, well, is that the kid that's on the Hilltown Community Forum? So then I go, look, and it's some kid who's like from Iowa. The whole thing is shady. He's from Iowa. He works for some company.
Let me tell you something.
He's out selling things. And I'm like, who is going door to door in this day and age and being successful with
that
it?
is exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And, who are the people that would actually buy something from someone going door to door?
I just kept saying no. Then so I didn't see this guy. I wasn't there when he came the first time.
Right.
But Saturday, I'm like sweating my cojones off, dragging stuff out to this dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid pulls up in his car, and he gets out, and he's got his little iPad, and then he's got a briefcase bag. Like it's like the illusion that somebody's professional. That they, it's like putting the vest on, the construction vest on. If you're playing the part, you don't really question it. But, now you're on my property, and now you're getting out of the car. There was obviously nobody here yesterday. I saw you stand out there for a good 5 minutes on the porch.
Right.
And then now you're back, and now you're asking me, he's trying to explain. And I said, you know what, I'm all set. Thank you very much. I was polite about it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be
a
jerk about it.
I just think in this day and age, the whole concept of door-to-door sales of any kind, it just seems crazy. Even like the Jehovah's Witnesses aren't really going door-to-door the way they used to anymore. They just pop something in your mailbox that's, sorry, we missed you.
And you know what he says when I said, I'm all set, thank you?
What?
Well, can we just go inside for a few minutes and sit down and talk about this? And I said, no. What? I don't. And he starts explaining what he's selling. He's selling, educational material for high school. I was like, no,
absolutely, hell no.
Go, it's time to leave now.
That's pretty nervy. For you've already been told no.
Yeah.
Well, let's go inside and chit chat. Yeah, I'm going to have a complete and total stranger come into my house to try to sell me on educational materials.
Yeah. Who?
Get out of here.
No. Nobody's going door to door anymore.
No way. Anyway. Oh no, this is what I just wanted to quickly mention. It's not a funny story by any means, but former state rep Peter Lappin died this week. He had been a Springfield City Councilor. He had done a million things. He was represented the 8th and 16th Hampton District from 72 to 76. Served on the Western Mass Economic Development Council for many years. He died just the other day, so I just want to extend our condolences to his family. Okay?
All right.
So that's all I wanted to do. They didn't need to bring everything down, but
I was going to say
he has been a part of this community for an awful long period of time, and it would make it's the right thing to do to mention Peter Lappin.
And this is no disrespect to the Lappin family, but is a complete disrespect to you. Why did you bring that up now? We're having a good time.
It's a newscast.
We're complaining about. Yes, but
You're
that's
doing
news that should have been brought up at a different time. I'm here on my soapbox complaining about some douchebag coming up to my house trying to sell me educational products.
I thought that story
was
over.
On my little Karen rant about why he should get off my lawn.
I thought that story had played out.
And then you're like, oh, by the way, somebody died over the weekend.
I hate to be Debbie Downer here, but I mean,
you are a Debbie Downer.
Well, I apologize for that, Steve. I didn't mean to squash your trajectory.
And we could have spent a lot more time honoring the man had you brought this up at a different time.
I tried to. I just want to get all the information that I had, and there wasn't a whole lot in the 22 News story. I don't even say how old he was at the time, but I think he was in his 70s. But nevertheless, Peter Lappin, my condolences.
You know what? Why don't you get out of here? Get out of here.
Kind of planning on it anyway.
Maybe I'll think about a new co-host.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be cloudy with some heavy rain showers this afternoon. Could see some severe thunderstorms with a high of 87. Tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 83. It is 77 in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. All right, to Springfield's classic rock. It is 8:56 and Rush on Rock 102. Bax has stepped out for the day. Now, in Dave Coombs fashion, I will tell you that he's going for a very meticulous medical procedure that involves, his testicles. So that's what's happening with him. The only thing I can't tell you is when he'll be back. So he's just gone for the day. Anyway, you want to have some fun? Join me this Friday at the Rock 102 Road Crew at Free Music Friday on the Plaza down at MGM. It's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30. It's going to be a completely different time than it normally is in order to make sure that everybody gets to see the fireworks display happening in downtown Springfield. You can enjoy the free live outdoor music at MGM Springfield Plaza during your favorite local bands. This week, it's Trailer Trash, today's modern country music. It'll take the stage at 6 p.m. Wear your best patriotic look to enter the costume contest. There's going to be judges throughout the crowd judging you on your patriotic gear, and then stick around after the show for the fireworks viewing party on the 8th floor of the garage. Quench your thirst with refreshing beverages from the Plaza Bar or a craft beer from White Lion Brewing, plus delicious food from Guac This Way or offerings from various local food trucks. It's all happening this Friday at MGM with myself and the Rock 102 Road Crew from Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock. It is 8:58 at Rock 102.